is when you come in on a given day, I want to make sure that you see that there is a plan for you, the calendar, and the first thing that you want to look for is things that are warm-ups. So something that was a warm-up yesterday, many of you jumped on, that's great. That in effect becomes the warm-up for Tuesday because you weren't here. I can move all these dates out so that you don't feel like you missed anything, but there was a plan going into this week. So if you see something that says warm-up, that means you do it on that day, but not early, and you do it before you get done for the day, before you leave, you turn it in. Same with this one. You do this because I want you to start it first thing. I want you to get it done today. It's not an all-day event. You're going to collect some things for your portfolio starting on Monday. You're going to turn in your portfolio on Friday. So the through line is you're going to be continuing to think about what you've got ready for your portfolio as you go through the week. It's just an early version. This is an optional thing. Optional doesn't mean just that. It's an enhancement. If somebody's altogether done with their work, they're never going to be bored because they've got lots of optional activities. Some of these are very interesting and they're going to really start to diverge into different areas very quickly. And so maybe you're like, oh, I don't want to do more C++. But when I get the design unit open with like 5 different interest areas, including programming, I will have something for you to work on. In class yesterday, I had students try some different experiences because we're going to start talking about what is a game and how do you design a game and how do you make a game interesting. This is the outcome from it yesterday. And so you're going to go through and you're going to evaluate some things. And you're going to evaluate whether something's a toy, game, or a puzzle. Now I've got these all put into one area for you. It's in the game programming drive. And if I haven't talked about the game programming drive, it's the I drive. I is an indigo. I'm going to open up a new folder here. And I want to highlight a couple things about this situation. There is oodles of content. You might get lost in here on the game programming drive, but that's not my intention. I don't want you to get lost in here. For example, when we had Future Quest people in here, we used the folder FQ. These are games that students evaluated when they were here for Future Quest. So they're fully exposed, and yes, there's something you could jump into and do. I'm going to be starting a unit on game design information, game design documents, for example. That information will be in here. So I've got a long path to where these games are. I'm just going to kind of show you where it is. I'm using something that I've had for a long time. It's in a folder called Keep But Obsolete. And the reason I'm keeping it is because this is based on an old game engine. So in Module 1, Chapter 2, what is a game? And then experimental gameplay, this path will get you to some games I want you to try. This is part of today's activity. You will be evaluating. I don't want you to spend all day doing it, but I want you to check these out with headphones.
So will we be doing yesterday's activity or today?
Well, I'm going to be moving yesterday's to today for you.
So isn't this technically tomorrow's activity?
No, because these are quick.
All right.
Okay, so this is not an all-day affair. So you'll be, I gave you an electronic version of it, but when you get here, you can actually, for example, start this up, and I think you need to have headphones on to really experience these things. And I will fire this up, and when you, I'll have to stop the demo for a second because my graphics card just freaked out. I will stop the demo, and then I'll bring it back up again. So let me get into, I know you can't see my screen right now. Demonstrate, stop showing my screen, and then demonstrate, show it full screen. Just an awkward thing, I think, with my graphics card. I'm not sure why. So when you go to run these, they're going to give you basically a message. Do you sure you want to run this? And when you run your own programs, or if you run something I'm giving to you, then you can click on run and let it run. I don't know if my music's up or not. So make sure on all of these that you do read the instructions. Okay, and these are not what I would call normal games. That's why they're an experimental gameplay. And there's a kind of a preview hint there. So make sure you read the instructions and then enjoy the music and the pretty trippy experience. All right, so you'll be doing this on your own today. You'll be understanding, hopefully, what goes on with a rainy day. Isn't this weird? So weird, Mr. Judge. So you'll have a chance to check that out. I'm going to end it just by clicking on the X in the corner. You're going to try these. This is the path to it. So I'm going to copy this for you, and I'm going to put it in the assignment. I also gave them to you as something you could download here. But let me just jump into the assignment and add a comment for you. And this will be where you find them. I can't open up a folder on your screens, but I can give you a link to it that you can copy and paste. So you will copy this, highlight it and say copy. Then you'll go in your file folder, and when you're in one of these, if you just click up here and paste and hit enter, it'll bring you right to it. So it's copy paste to get right to the spot they are. All right, so back to the Google Classroom. It's your guide for the ride. I need to get this idea across to everybody. The way this work class works, and the way it works with students coming from many different schools and many different capabilities, is everybody's encouraged. It's not a race, work at your own pace. It's also not a place to just kick back and chill on your phone. And so I've got basically two camps of people in here. I got people that are serious about the class and they want to do as well as they can, and I got some people in here that are in here to burn time. Doesn't matter to me, it's not my grade. So this is my advice to you. Plan your work, and then work your plan. You'll notice this is not someone else's plan. And the reason I'm saying work your plan is different than anybody else. The person next to you may not have been here as many days as you. They have had a calendar conflict, they were sick, for whatever reason they're not here, so your plan is most important to you. The person on the other side of you might be super fast and they might be ready to work on something else, but they should be working within the constructs of the curriculum. I have a couple of people that are way off doing their own thing and they're getting the required work done really quickly and they're indulging in what they want to do. So that works to a point, but I'm starting to realize that I need, for anyone who's been in my curriculum in the past, I need to have some more structure around it and some accountability. I'll handle that on an as-needed basis. So in order to do that, here's the steps. First of all, you're going to want to go to the Google Classroom and check for any missing work. Because again, this is unique to you. It's nobody else's. Some of you have no missing work. Some of you have more missing work. So first, check Google Classroom. I'm just going to call it GC. But you'll notice when I put in your eligibility grades, I put in something like missing 7 assignments in GC. It means Google Classroom. If you're missing work in Google Classroom, it means it's required work that you didn't get done. And it's especially important you understand that ICA means in-class activity. It is due that day. If you can hold off, I want you to hold off. Okay? The other thing is anything that's a warm-up is due that day. So when you do the warm-up, it's due that day. When you do an in-class activity, it's due that day. The things that are enhancements, you don't have to do, but I'm going to encourage you, because as the time we get into second semester, we're going to be doing basically choose your own adventure, and you're going to be able to pick what you want to work on. But there's accountability. You need to account for your time. So that's what I want you to do. First, check your Google Classroom, do any required work. In-class activities are above those. And then once you're done, then do the enhancements, optionals and enhancements. You're going to start to see a pattern emerge. On Thursdays, I want you to do a article review. It's a 10-minute exercise. You can't just do the Google article review and say, oh, I'm done with the article review. I'm done with my 2-hour commitment. Nope. You got to actually make use of your time here. So that's what I'm trying to, and here's what it comes down to. If you decide that you're going to learn, nothing's going to stop you. And what I want to do is I want to find what you're interested in and make sure that I align your interests with what you're putting your time into. Some people come here, and the reality is, if you decide that you're not going to learn, I can't do anything to change that. So how do I grade on a class where people work at their own pace? Well, first of all, if you don't get the required work done, you're not going to pass the class. If you get the required work done, great, you've got a D, congratulations. You still don't have enough for college credit. I need you to exceed the minimum required work. Passing the class is a D, that's the required work. If you're not completing the required work, you're not passing the class, we have a problem. If you're completing the required work, great, you're passing. Now what are you going to do with your skills? And that's where you need to start to show that you can get more than that done. But it should be stuff that interests you. I'm not going to take a non-programmer and make them program. I'm not going to take a non-artist to make them an artist. So you get to pick some of the things you work on. This is one of the ways it's going to start to differentiate a little bit. When we get into our game design documents and we start to actually get designs ready for things, everything that we build is going to be designed first and then built and then customized. That accounts for levels you're going to design, characters you're going to design, props you're going to design, programs you're going to design. Just like the very building that we're in, it's going to be designed first and then build. So here's some examples. I want to make sure I'm going to start. I don't want to overload you because I've got multiple years of past Google Classrooms here. But I just want to show you that in addition to assignments, you're also going to see that there's material in the stream. For example, somebody might look at the calendar and they might go, I'm really into character design. And we're starting to look at things with characters. I noticed.
Excuse the interruption. This is a reminder that CLC is here in the front lobby to help students sign up or answer any questions with their dual credit.
Someone might look forward and go, I see we're going to start to work on characters. I like to sketch. Let me start to sketch my characters. We're not at that point yet. And so part of this relates to hero versus villain, part of the e-lesson we did earlier in the month. If you didn't do that, it's important feedback. So we're going to do hero versus villain, and that's part of something that's kicked off. I've already got, as you can see, next week laid out, including the Thursday thing. Don't just jump out and do the stuff on Thursday because it's easy. You're going to be doing Hour of Code Part 4 next week. That might beg the question, we haven't done 3 yet. So tomorrow, when you come in, and I will not be here, there will be a substitute, and you're going to all be doing Hour of Code Part 3. You've done Part 1 and Part 2 together. Yes, Jason?
So why are you not going to be here tomorrow?
I'm going to be doing professional development because I'm trying to get $10,000 for you. So I'm going to a 2-day training on something called Games for Change. And the training is related to a contest. Let's see here. We'll look at this in detail later. So Games for Change. They have a contest every year. I don't know much about it. But if you look in here and you look under the competitions, you can see that they have actually had a prize of $10,000 in the past for the winners. That's the competition. Middle school students who are going through using Scratch. We got a great opportunity to win this because we have so many more skills than the groups that are typically winning in that. It's not until July, but we want to start our prep early. So I'm doing professional development. I'll be in the morning. I may pop in at some point during the day. I may see you on webcam. I will probably see you before you leave that day, but when you first walk in on Wednesday and Thursday, I probably won't be in the room because I'm going to be online with people from around the world. I did this for 2 weeks over the summer. This one happens to be during class time. So that's what's going on, okay? If you win Skills USA, that's great, but you don't get $10,000. If you win Nationals, that's great, but you don't get $10,000. If you win Games for Change, you win $10,000. I'm sorry, I can't quite hear you.
Would you like to get started on doing our assignments?
Well, these are important announcements, so I want to make sure I get through because there's some people that have disconnects with what they want to do and what they need to do. So in order for this session to find success and not be looking at late work, I'm going to come in here and move these dates out so that they match the reality that you are not able to do them until today because you just showed up. What you're going to start to see is there's going to be a number of activities that are set up on this given day, today. So as it starts to take shape, again, I don't want you to be overloaded because as needed, we can move things out to Wednesday. Friday, I've got a bunch of stuff going on, and Grant's not here. So I am going to be continually trying to adjust these dates. That's why I don't typically put the next week out, but I definitely wanted to get Hour of Code 3 and 4 laid out for you to have stuff to work on. So let's do a summary here. Make sure you are opening your Google Classroom, and I should have added in there, and your email, because that's another way that you find out information. and plan your work your plan, using Google Classroom as the guide for the ride. So timing does matter, and working towards progress does matter. By the way, one more thing I want to make everyone aware of is by spring, we're going to be doing teams. I will do some assigned teams, and then teams will be self-chosen. If you're this person, the person that's getting by on a D, guess how popular you are to be on somebody else's team? You're going to be on independent study. And so I'll work with you on making the most of your time, but if you have a need or an interest to be in a group, you gotta prove yourself. Any questions about that?
How big are you thinking the teams will be?
Teams are always 3 to 5. Okay. And the reason I do 3 to 5 is 3 is like the minimum for you to consider to have a team. Otherwise, you're pair programming. 5 is the max, because if you want to go to Skills USA, there's a max of 6. I want to have an opportunity for someone to drop out and you can replace them. Because if you add a 7th name, you're disqualified from Skills USA. And we like to win Skills USA and bring home the trophies. So that's what's going on there. All right, I hope I wasn't too preachy. I really want you to find something that you're going to connect with and be successful with. And I just felt like I'm not sure how much this message is getting through, especially in this session, because by this point in the day, I've already said it twice. And sometimes I might forget to really deliver that message. So use Google Classroom as your guide for the ride and focus on things as they're due, and you'll be in good shape. And I'm currently moving this stuff from Monday into Tuesday so that you don't feel overloaded from that. I hope that makes sense. This one was an optional one. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But I know some of you already started it. I'm actually been impressed with some of you. Flip side of the coin is some of you are really working hard here. And even if you get the standard stuff done, you do more. So that's just as true of some of you. Keep up what you're doing, and don't be hesitant. If you don't like asking questions in person, send me an email, leave me a voicemail, give me a private comment, come by my desk and write me a note. There's many ways to reach out for help. Okay, you will make the most out of your class here. I will do what I can to support it. Thanks for your attention.